we go. Once again, this is Jony Cinco here with another podcast. Thank you very much for tuning in. And guess what? We're out here getting after it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Click like and subscribe to the channel. Um, so let's talk about it, man. Let's get back on the grind. And this is another week, another day, another month, another hour, another second. And at the end of the day, it's about um, looking at our goals, setting them, and getting after them on a daily basis. So thank you very much again. As we kind of go through life, we find ourselves, in these high moments, right? In these high moments of success, these high moments of top of the hill, and what happens when we fall down, right? When we had our ego get the best of us, when we're at the mountaintop. Um, and it's not about getting to the mountaintop, right? Yes, it's about, it's not about getting there and thinking you're done. Um, because there's two things that could happen. Either one, you continue moving up the success ladder, or two, as you're moving up the success ladder, you fall, right? And let's talk about when we fall. When we fall, right, we find ourselves um, struggling, right? Struggling with the fact that all these successes that we had, right? We reflect on the past. We stay stuck on the past of what got us here, right? And I'm here to tell you that as you go up in this success story, in your success story, um, one finds themselves, at a crossroads. Either you continue going or you stop. Um, and usually, when we fall back down after, materialistically or spiritually or relationship wise or work wise, we get all these accolades. um, and then you find yourself struggling to get back at it, right? Because the goals you set, you accomplish them, and then it's kind of like, now what, right? Now what? um, and you have to analyze yourself. You gotta look yourself in the mirror and say, now what, right? Now what am I going to do, right? If it was, a marathon, if it was, a track meet, if it was lifting heavy weights, if it was, 1,000 pound challenge, if it was, writing a book, writing an article, whatever your goal was, as you kind of successfully get through them, um, asking yourself that question, like, man, like, what happens when I accomplish it, right? And when you accomplish it, that feeling um, of, did you do it for yourself, right? And that's the key. Many times in life, I found myself, being successful, but who do I do it for, right? I can tell you when, I graduated from college, and I remember being up on stage and feeling empty because I felt like, man, I might have done it because family members doubted me, right? So I'm gonna show them. And then when I graduated college and I was up on stage, yeah, family was proud because I was, graduating from college. Um, but inside, I was just like, man, I did it for somebody else, to show them, right? And then the same thing, I go get start my profession, and people were doubting. People were doubting the fact that a lot of people sign up for this profession, but not many get to be it. And I remember, graduating from my profession, completing my training, and then find myself, empty again. And the persons and the people that I wanted to show that I can do, my goals I set up to, honestly didn't really care. Like, they weren't looking for any type of validation. They were just saying what they felt. And I, spent years, going to school, years trying to, or months in my profession, um, completing it for somebody else. Um, so what I ask of you, even if nowadays, through all that things in life, yes, I continue to accomplish things, right? I found myself, later on in life, trying to jot down these goals, and people were asking me, why are you training so hard, or why are you doing this, or why are you doing that, and there's doubters. Because again, right, the intensity that you can carry for yourself, um, it makes people uncomfortable, right? When you tell them that, you know, you're out there on the grind. So I tell you, this is Jony Cinco, always believing in you, always take care of yourself, always thinking about you guys. And again, keep going, stay motivated. And again, as you go to the high tops and low tops, of this mountain of success, get back at it. And so this is Jony Cinco, always thinking about you guys. Peace. Hey, once again, this is Jony Cinco coming at you again with another podcast, and here to tell you that a hard work does pay off. And when I say that, it's gonna be smart work, it ain't gonna be just work, because that's the biggest difference between that saying, right? We talk about hard work pays off, but then if we're grinding, we're getting after it, but we're pushing up a sled in the mud, right? Instead of putting it on some grass, some dry grass, and pushing that sled. So I tell you again, before you start doing anything to put in that hard work, think about it, strategize, jot it down, step by step. This is what I'm gonna do first. I'm gonna do first, small successes, right, on a daily basis. Avoid those resistances. Avoid, having a push. And as you see others successful in the same exact thing that you're planning on doing, don't look at that as a deter, right? Or saying that why they getting there faster than you. Your process is your process, but at the same time, I ask about you is stop, think, write it down, jot it down, whatever that goal is. Step by step it. And if you don't know what that step by step is, there's school, right? There's college, and if you don't have it, usually a lot of information is out there, right? So I'd ask you again, if you got to jot it down, a to-do list. I have a good friend of mine that always gave me a to-do list. Helped me start doing it. And one thing about doing the to-do list or getting after these goals is write them in pencil. Why write them in pencil, right? Why not in pen? Because pencil helps you where if you don't complete the mission today, if you complete that task today, guess what? You write it down on the next piece of paper for the next day. Or the next day's to-do list. But the goal is you're always focused, you're always grinding, you're always getting to the next goal. Because again, if you didn't accomplish, if you accomplish, um, on this list, you had 10 items, and out of those 10, to-do lists, right, objectives, things that you had planned to do to reach your success, right? Jot them down on a piece of paper, right? Put a little block next to them, right? And you check them off, right? If it's just getting back on gym, hey, get up in the morning, check, early, do my hygiene check, brush my teeth, check, whatever the case may be, get my stuff, or the night before, get my stuff ready for the gym tomorrow, check, and set up my pen and paper to start writing, check, get my typewriter up, make sure it's charged, check, whatever those things are, right? Whatever those things are. And again, right, and the biggest thing I could ask about you, or ask of you, is as you kind of continue to grind into your successes, is as you jot them down, check mark them. And if you find yourself where you set back, right? Don't focus too much on the fact that you didn't get to do those. Put them on the next page. Put them on the next page. Remind yourself, like, this is what it is. This is what's going to get me to that goal. And at the end, right, when you reach that goal, I tell you that when you reach that goal, you're going to thank yourself later. So again, what I tell you always is that keep grinding. Keep grinding, keep getting after it, because you know what? Jony Cinco always believes in you, and you got what it takes to be the best version of you. So don't let anybody bring you down, and then mostly don't let yourself down, because that's the person that matters the most. And guess what? Once, always, and today, tomorrow, and the next day, Jony Cinco believes in you, and you got what it takes to be the best version of you. The world deserves it. So don't let that be a deter, right? Put that list on a piece of paper, check block it next it, right? In pencil, right? And again, you can erase it if you make some mistakes. But again, if you got to get a calendar, and set a date on the calendar for 3 months from now, I'll be here, and realistic goals, right? um, and that way, again, you're little by little, little by little, just getting closer, 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 closer to what you believe to be the best version of you. So thank you very much for tuning in. This is Jony Cinco. Always, proud of you. Always keep on grinding. Keep getting after it. Until next time, peace. Hey, this is Jony Cinco with another podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. And this is the 5 seconds, 5 minutes podcast. Get back at it. Get back on the grind. Let's get after it. And let's talk about discipline, right? Discipline, come from many different factors, different ways of it, right? And usually, when we think about discipline, we think about the external things that kind of motivate us, that kind of get us back on the grind. And we depend on it, right? But that self-discipline is what we want to get after, right? That self-discipline that gets us motivated, right? Because that's what it is, right? It comes from the self, right? Uh, Discipline, that motivates. Discipline that comes from external priorities, energies. Yeah, those are good as well. But the hope is, right, with any of these disciplines, it could come from a coach, it could come from a drill sergeant, it could come from any means, instructors, masters, whatever the case may be, if you do martial arts, but whatever the case may be, right? Those disciplines come with a program, right? Come with, a certain schedule, and those are all fine and dandy, right? They kind of get us, focused and centered into what we really want to do. But the reality is, right? None of that matters, right? The coach, the master, the instructions, the guidance, none of that matters unless we actually self-discipline, meaning that we actually take all that information, right? All the things that the coach gives us, the master, the guidance, the scripture, the step-by-step guide, the how-tos, all these different things, right, are all there, are meant to, kind of get us towards that self-discipline. But the reality is that we have to put forth the energy to get that, executed. If we're not executing that self-discipline, then the reality is, it could be many of factors, many of things. It's kind of like what I want to get at is that motivation, right? Motivation comes and goes, right? Motivation, is a feeling, right? It's a feeling. It comes, it goes. You feel it today, today, and then tomorrow you wake up and you don't feel it anymore, right? Motivation can come in 10 minutes, 15 minutes. It could come in from, competitiveness, right? That motivation of, I want to beat this person, but then once you beat that person, what then, right? I want to, I motivated myself to get, if I'm in school, to get an A, something, or a good grade, right? And then at the end of the day, once I'm done with that, what happens then, right? I get an A, then what happens, right? That motivation goes, right? And then now what? So the whole thing is, as you're kind of going through these different chapters in your life, right? It's self-discipline, right? So if you discipline yourself and understand that all these different outside, external uh, things that are getting you to that discipline, right, or kind of setting that discipline for you, at the end of the day, you have to kind of craft it. You have to mold it to what you want to do to continue that self-discipline. And that means, if it's routine, if it's, continuous, preparation. That's the goal, right? The goal is for any coach, any mentor, any guidance, any how to, any steps, is for you to be able to then, receive all that information, mold it into what you need it to be in order for you to kind of develop that self-discipline. So again, right, if you're in this journey of, getting healthier, setting up your goals, going and studying and reading and writing, whatever the case, whatever that goal is that you're trying to achieve, right? It all starts with you, right? So all this information that you're receiving, right? Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's you can spend your time, all just kind of studying, but at the end of the day, it's about the action, right? And the only way that you're going to kind of create that action is through self-discipline. So discipline yourself, right? Again, this is Jony Cinco. Always believing in you. Believe that you have what it takes to be the best version of you. So again, thank you so much for tuning in, right? Self-discipline. Let's get after it. Thank you very much for tuning in. This is Jony Cinco. Peace. Jony Cinco with another podcast. Thank you for tuning in. And once again, I'm here for you, for the team, making sure that you guys got what it takes. And again, Jony Cinco always believes in you. And you know what? One thing I want to talk about today is procrastination, right? Procrastination, right? We all kind of suffer from it. We all kind of, indulge in that procrastination. We have a lot of goals, but then we trying to take our sweet time to get there, right? And then, so how do we combat it, right? How do we combat procrastination? How do we get up and get after it the way that you want to do it, the way that you've been dreaming of, the way that you believe in yourself? Your friends, your family, everybody around you believe in you. I believe in you as Jony Cinco. And really, what I was trying to get at is procrastination, right? So if you have a goal in mind, right? When is the best time to get rid of procrastination? When is the best time to say, you know what, this is it. I'm gonna go get after it. I'm gonna go do it. And you know when the time is? Time is now. So if you're in the couch right now, you're sitting down, you're studying, you're investigating, you're writing these pros and cons and the list of all the things you need to have. Guess what? The time is now. So right now, if you have the opportunity to go and start working on that goal that you have currently, go do it. Don't wait till tomorrow. Don't wait till the next second. So again, right, if you have to take these 5 seconds to take a breather, breathe in, breathe out. If you got to take about 5 minutes to kind of, group yourself together, let's go ahead, and reset, refit, right? Let's go ahead and, wash our face, do some hygiene, bam, and let's get it, right? If your goal is to get, go to the gym, guess what? Go today, go and sign up for the gym, right? If your goal is to start writing, guess what? Take this 5 seconds, 5 minutes, bam, now let's get to it. Let's open up that laptop and start typing, right? If your goal is to write too, but you like to hand draw, you like to handwrite, right? Bam, take that time. But the perfect time is if you're looking for in your mind, right? Procrastination, right, will always tell you, right now is not the best time. Right now is not what it is. But reality is this is the voices in your head, right? That's just all you telling you, you need to have this prepared. You have to have this and that and the third, right? But in reality is the time is now. So if you're looking for the moment in time special, right, where everything lines up perfect, guess what? You're gonna be waiting, and procrastination is gonna win. And again, this is Jony Cinco, right? Jony Cinco believing in you, and always believe that you have the best to be the best version of you. So again, right? Let's stop this procrastination. Let's brush ourselves off. Got it. We needed a couple seconds, a couple minutes to regroup, refit, but let's get it, right? Let's go get after it. Let's go be the best version of ourselves, right? Because again, right, the world deserves the best version of you, your family, your friends, but most of all, you deserve to be the best version of you. So right now, let's go get it. Let's go get after it. So again, when is the best time, right? When is the best time to do any of this stuff? The time is now. All right. So again, if it takes those 5 minutes, 5 seconds to rearrange our mentality, right? If we need to kind of go and kind of take a breather, go do that. But let's get back at it, right? So again, this is Jony Cinco. Always wanting to make sure that you be the best version of you, and you'll thank yourself later, right? So right now, it's always about, combating it, right? And the dreams, right? You have dreams, you have goals, you have things that you want to accomplish. So um, get those dreams alive, make them alive, right? Stop having them in your dreams, right? Make those dreams reality. So again, right, if that's the goal that you have of losing weight, writing a book, starting a podcast, starting an app, starting, a venture, starting your business, starting whatever it is that you desire to do, the best time to do it is do it now. So again, this is Jony Cinco again, always trying to tell you, let's get after it. Let's stop this procrastination, right? And let's go get it. So again, this is Jony Cinco with this podcast, taking those 5 minutes, 5 seconds to regroup, refit. Let's get after it because the world deserves the best version of you. But most of all, You deserve to be the best version of you. Jony Cinco believes in you, and you have what it takes to be, again, the best version of you. So let's get it. All right. Let's fight this procrastination. Until next time, peace. Here we go. Once again, this is Jony Cinco coming back at you with another podcast. Thank you so much. 5 seconds, 5 minutes to regroup, reset, our mind to make sure that we're getting after it. One thing I want to talk about, let's get straight to it. I believe in you. Jony believes in you 100%. You got what it takes to be the best version of you. And most of all, your family and your friends, everybody around you, most of all, you, right? You deserve to be the best version of you. So again, thank you so much for tuning in. And let's talk about weakness, right? I'm not the smartest. I'm not the brightest. I'm not the most physically gifted. I'm a lot of stuff, but I'm mostly, a lot of weakness, right? Um, and again, right, I'm not the smartest, right? I'm not the fastest. I'm not the most intelligent. I'm not the most educated. I'm not the most. I'm most of a lot of things, right? And I accept that. I accept that I'm not none of that, right? I know that I don't I don't come from, a wealthy background. I don't come from a lot of different things, right? And that's okay. And that's okay. I accept that, right? I accept that that's where I'm at, right? The first thing again, right? We have this weakness. We accept the weakness, but how do I improve on this weakness, right? How do I get after this weakness that I can identify, And it's not about self sabotage or say, because I'm this or I'm that. That's the reason why, I'm where I'm at today. No, it's identifying it and it's attack it, right? So kind of what they say, the strongest thing that you have usually is your weakness, right? Is your strongest weakness in a way, right? But again, right, I get after, so again, when you set these goals, not only do you set the goals for things that you're strong on, but also let's improve these weaknesses, right? Whatever it is that it is, right? If you're lifting weights and your chest, right, your weight on when you're lifting weights is especially when you're doing chest day, is the weakest out of your legs. Your legs are probably the strongest, right? Or you like to do shoulders more, or your biceps, or whatever it is, right? Physically, right? That is a weakness, and that is what you kind of train on, right? If you know that you're not that great at writing, guess what? Let's attack that weakness. If it is getting an app, reading a book, looking at ways to improve your writing, right? You got to go and do that, improve those weaknesses, right? If it's reading, right? If you find yourself where you want to get a little bit more education, let's pick up these books, right? These books that are gonna, expand our mind, our ideas, in the specific subjects that we're interested in, right? Because again, it's about you being interested in these specific subjects that you want to be better at. So again, right, when we're kind of attacking these weaknesses, we got to identify the weaknesses, but then we got to go head on, right? We got to go ahead and improve on these weaknesses, right? And then it's not, and the biggest thing for you is not so much the results, right? The results are going to come, right? The results are going to come based off the work that you're putting out. But again, right, you got to be self, analyzing and let yourself know, like, did I actually attack these weaknesses and put in the work, right? So when I try to say that is that if we're looking for progress tomorrow, right, it's not going to happen, right? Everything takes its time, right? It takes the discipline, it takes the mental fortitude, the routine to get after it. But at the end of the day, you're attacking these weaknesses, right, that you have, right? If it's public speaking, right, if it's little by little, kind of find out whatever those weaknesses are and attack them, right? And there's many ways to attack these weaknesses, but at the end of the day, you will know, or you're satisfied when you look yourself back in the mirror again and know that you did what it took to improve on those weaknesses. And if today is one of those days where there's days where I'm not feeling it. There's days where I don't get up. There's days where I don't, get after it. And then I find myself again, 5 seconds again, 5 seconds, 5 minutes. Let's reset, regroup. Right? If it's in the morning, your day's a wash. You didn't do anything. You didn't progress. But guess what? Let's attack this weakness today, since today is the day that we're living. And let's take those 5 minutes, 5 seconds, reset, regroup, and let's get it. Let's get after it. And you'll thank yourself later. So again, this is Jony Cinco, always believing in you that you can be the best version of you. And again, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of what you're doing. I'm proud of you that you're listening to this podcast, because again, I believe that you deserve to be the best version of you, your family, your friends, but most of all, again, you deserve it. And I believe in you. So this is Jony Cinco. Until next time, peace. Hey, once again, this is Jony Cinco with another podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. And once again, again, 5 seconds, 5 minutes to regroup, reset, get after it. Again, Jony Cinco believes in you to be the best version of you. So let's talk about that destroyer mode, beast mode, the get after it mode, right? When we find ourselves in these moments where we have the ability to defy logic, right? Where, we train, we put in the work, we're in the trenches, we're in that competition, we're in front of our computer typing, we're in that moments of where we feel, everything around us looks like, where we're gonna fail, right? We're losing, but then, there's something that clicks in our mind that makes us get that extra effort, right? That extra push, that extra, that extra level, right? That extra level that you are not didn't know you were capable of, right? When it's when it's lifting a heavier weight, during a competition, right? They call it the adrenaline, they call it whatever it is, but I call it that beast mode, the destroyer mode, that get after it mode, right? Where you're in it and you find yourself, doing more than what you expected, right? So when you find yourself, digging deep, right? Some of those questions and things they say when you're in the military and they say, hey, dig deep, right? You don't even know what dig deep means, right? But something in you, right? When you were in that stressful environment where your body, your mind, the logic, right? That's telling you that you can't continue going, right? It's the stress of life, right? Where you say that, you can't continue going, but for some reason, listen to this podcast has the ability to just click something in your mind, right? And if you're in those trenches, you're in that stressful environment, you're in the battle, right? Of whatever that is, understand that there's something in you, right? In your heart, right? In your mind that can click over and give you that extra energy, that extra push, that extra, motivation, right? Again, discipline, right? That extra. And it's not logical, right? You can't explain it, right? Some people call it heart, some people call it digging deep, some people call it beast mode, destroyer mode, whatever you want to identify it as. Guess what? You got that in you. You got that dog in you, So again, right, if you find yourself in those moments of stress where you want to give up, right, where you want to kind of cease fire, where you want to kind of say, this is it for me, right? I'm going to fail. Guess what? No, man. Don't let that be the case, right? Go ahead and understand that, you have what it takes to be the best version of you, and everybody deserves it. And again, I always say you deserve to be the best version of you. So again, I believe in you. So if you're going through those moments where, you're in the middle of a workout, right? And you're tired, you're breathing hard, you're exhausted, right? You've been up all day, writing, typing, and you're getting frustrated because you can't put the letters to the paper, right? Just go, write. You want to give up, go. You're tired, go. You exhausted, go, right? Let's tap into that primal mode, right? That beast mode, that the berserker mode, that let's get after it, and no one's gonna stop me mode, right? And again, it might not be about getting that first place. It might not be about being the best. It's about satisfied that you put in the energy, right? And that's kind of what it's about, right? Because there is going to be people out there that are gifted, but guess what? Their gifts are only as good as if everything is perfect, right? But you have that extra, something in you that's going to get you, past that hump, get that extra, lift in, get that extra mile in, get that extra minute in, get that extra paragraph in, get that extra page in, get that extra, hour in of just getting after it. So again, Jony Cinco believes in you, that you have what it takes, tap into that beast mode, that berserker mode, that destroyer mode, that get after it mode. So again, right, if you find yourself in those situations where you have to tap into that, dig deep, thank yourself later. So again, this is Jony Cinco. Always believe in you, your family, your friends, everybody believes in you, but most of all, you believe in yourself. And I, Jony Cinco, believe in you for you to be the best version of you. So this is Jony Cinco. Peace. Hey, once again, this is Jony Cinco with another podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in, and let's get after it. Let's get back on the grind. Again, I believe in you for you to be the best version of you, your family, your friends, but most of all, you believe that you can be the best version of you. So let's get after it, right? Let's talk about not feeling it, right? Today I'm not feeling it, right? Today I'm not willing. I'm not feeling me getting up. I'm not feeling me to, get out of bed. I'm not feeling, eating right. I'm not feeling, I'm not feeling it. And guess what? How do you get, how do you get after that not feeling it, right? Is going and getting it. So if you find yourself, in this mode, right? Guess what? Yes, right. There's days, there's days I go through it, right? There's days where anybody can go through not feeling it today. One thing that you got to keep in mind, right, as you're kind of going through these not feeling it days, right? One is don't break your progress. So if today's one of those days where it's a rest day, right? We call them rest days. We call them a break day. We call them whatever it is that you want to identify or not feeling it today day, right? Okay, got it. Take the 5 minutes, right? Think about it, right? Play that cassette through your mind of, okay, I'm not feeling it today, so that means I'm not going to work out. I'm not going to eat right. I'm going to sleep in, right? Take those 5 seconds. Think about it. You got to take 5 minutes. Think about it. Roll the cassette. Roll that your life of today, right? What you're going to be doing today, and see exactly if this is actually in line in what you want to accomplish. But the biggest deal, right? Let's say you do that. You take the 5 minutes, take the 5 seconds, and and you don't regroup, you don't reset. You just not feeling it. The goal in this moment in time, right? Because again, we have emotions. We're all humans, right? We're all go through emotions, and the biggest thing I can ask of you to do, because again, I always wanted you to be the best version of yourself, not only for yourself but for everybody around you. Is maybe today is those days where you don't progress, but you don't go back. When I try to say that is right, if we're in a diet, guess what? Okay, and we're in a diet, we're counting our calories, we're making sure that we are separating proteins and carbs and all those other things. Or again, we were probably in the middle of writing a book, and then guess what? We ain't feeling it today to write, and we probably need a mental recovery. I'm sore from yesterday, I'm injured, right? A little injury. I'm not feeling it. But today, right, what I'm trying to say is don't let that stop you. If today is a tactical pause, right, we call it in the military them tactical pauses to kind of reassess, right? If I have to take those 5 minutes, 5 seconds today to say, you know what, let me go ahead and analyze where I'm at and where I stand. And let me adjust, maybe my schedule, but don't let that paralyze you. So let's not go back and be like, you know what? Now I'm gonna start a new pros and cons list. Now I'm gonna start a new to-do list. Now I'm gonna start. Maybe you have to, but don't paralyze yourself in that. Meaning that if you take that today, you take those 5 minutes, you take those 5 seconds. Don't paralyze yourself. Meaning, don't just stay there. Right? Tactical pause. Understand that tomorrow, right, in 5 minutes or in 5 seconds or whatever the case may be, I'm gonna get back after it. Go and do that. But don't paralyze yourself with those thoughts. Don't start all over again, because again, what happens is usually, we make those lists where we fall back one day, and now the next day happens, right? It's tomorrow, and now, hey, you know what? That's another technical pause. It's another, I'm not feeling it today. It's another, I'm not going to get after it. I'm not going to continue with my goals. So again, right? If you gotta, not feeling it today, if you're not feeling it today, take the 5 minutes, take the 5 seconds, but let's keep on going. And that's how you attack it, right? All right, brush yourself off, boom, let's go. That is the key of all this, right? Moving forward, right? But again, if today's that day, okay. But tomorrow, you get it. In 5 seconds, you get it. In 5 minutes, you get it. And you'll thank yourself later. So again, this is Jony Cinco, always believing in you. We're not feeling it, but guess what? You're going to start feeling it, right? Because back what I can really say is you're going to feel the non-progress. You're going to feel, feel it to yourself. Because at the end of the day, that's who it is, right? That's who you're going to answer to in the end of the day, in the mirror, as you're talking to yourself, reflecting on what you did today. So again, I believe in you. Jony Cinco always believes in you. I'm proud of you. Let's keep on grinding together. Click like and subscribe to the podcast. And thank you so much again for tuning in. This is Jony Cinco. Peace.